Are we good to go?
And we're live.
Oh, shit.
Ah, live.
So this is episode 6.
Episode 6.
Growth over comfort.
We've got Chris back joining us.
Yes, it's always great to have Chris.
Hello.
And
good.
Today, I think we're going to talk about routine, creatures of habit, morning routine, what you tend to do throughout the day, and maybe if we can give people a little bit of influence and a little bit of motivation to maybe mix their routine up a little bit, throw a bit of change into their lives, we can help people bring, I don't know, be a bit more positive in life, be a little bit more inspirational to others.
It's interesting, isn't it? Like what the routines that we are involved in now. So like what we're doing now, and then how much of it's been influenced. How much of it are we conscious to?
Even this podcast, what we're doing right now, is kind of became a routine. The fact that we're trying to do it in 2-week slots, we're trying to release it in a certain time frame, we're trying to do certain things around the podcast, around growth over comfort, that are all, well, they're predominantly built around routine. And it goes back to what we say, we are creatures of habit, and we do tend to follow patterns. And I think it can be beneficial within reason. Sometimes I think routines can become laborious and they can become a little bit tedious.
Yeah, there's routines that we enjoy, and there's other routines that we may not enjoy. Like a lot of people don't enjoy going to work, or maybe they enjoy going to work but they don't enjoy the work that they're involved in. Or it's like things like being punctual as well, like arriving somewhere on time. These things are linked in with routine. Organisation in general is one. Discipline. The art of self-discipline starts with the diet, Shakk. Starts with what you eat. And I think that it's fantastic that you brought that up, because I follow that, like people follow religion. That is my religion, health.
Chris, do you tend to have any sort of diet that you stick to within? Like, is it a routine-based diet? I tend to have a bit of a routine-based diet.
Kind of. Like, I go to my mum's on a Thursday night. She always cooks. I always look forward to that because I always eat proper food. She cooks just delicious. It's very nice anyway. But yeah, kind of. I mean, on Monday I'd normally have spag bol. I cut spag bol Mondays. Have a nice bottle of red.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
And then that'll probably last Tuesday as well, because I'm just make like shitloads. And then Wednesday, I don't know. It could be anything. But I'd say kind of routine. But it does vary.
It does vary, but it does.
But I always have spag bol Mondays, always.
Always spag bol
Mondays.
Mondays.
Staple of your week.
I do make a good spag bol, if I dare say so myself. It takes
me too.
About 3 hours for me to let it stew away in a load of red wine.
It's about the only thing I can.
What do you use for the tomato, like the sauce? Do you make the sauce from scratch? Because to me, that's very important.
I really should, Shakk, but I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't.
So, you know what? I can't appreciate your spag bol.
I appreciate what you're saying. I appreciate what you're saying.
But to me, I think you need to make that sauce.
Well,
you need to get the tomatoes, and you need to.
Maybe if we had more time, if I made my routine better, I'd have more time.
It takes 2 minutes. Get some plum tomatoes. Make your tomatoes.
Oh wait, I'm expecting you to tell me that you grow them here. I'm not expecting you to tell me.
I grow them in my pasture.
So I think the reason why I wanted to talk about routine to start with, mainly morning routine. I don't know if you two have a morning routine, but I myself. I'm strict in the morning. I've touched upon it, I think, in the podcast, but I think it can set you up for a good day. And if you do certain things in the morning, it can make you proactive for the rest of the day. And if you look at like a lot of famous people, a lot of
successful.
I don't want to say the word successful people, because what is success? That's, you know what I mean? That's a different conversation.
Well, it's successful in their fields.
Successful in their sort of in their own in their business or whatever.
Entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs. So
philanthropists.
If you look at these sort of people, they do tend to have some morning routine, and to really go into mine, it starts on a Tuesday and Thursday. So there you go, creatures of habit. I have a pretty set routine, depending if I've been called out the night before.
So what do you do?
So on a Monday, it's a little bit different because I go swimming at 6:30 in the Monday morning. and I do like about 2,000 meters. But before that, I'll always wake up. I'll always meditate before going swimming. The Tuesday, because swimming doesn't open early enough, I wake up at about 6. I'll meditate. I'll then do about 20 minutes of yoga. I'd like to do longer, but in reality, it's all about finding that balance, and it's like everything in life, what I believe is about balance, and you can go out of balance at certain periods of time, but it's only to bring it back into balance. But I then do yoga for, like I said, about 20 minutes just to really stretch myself out. I feel so much better about myself since I started yoga.
How long's that been since you've started the yoga?
I started yoga when I moved around about October time, maybe November, and I couldn't run. Like when I was training before, and I was doing triathlons, I started getting a lot of injuries, and I got this one really bad. Well, it's not even a really bad injury, but my IT band on my right knee was really tight.
Yeah, I've had that.
Brutal.
Bad. Nothing you can do about it. You can't run through it.
You can't run through it, and it was literally 100 meters into my run, and then it'd start playing up, and then I had like 6 weeks off. Went for one run straight away, 100 meters, killing me. So I took it out of my life. I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to bother running anymore. I can't be bothered to get injured. But since, like I said, I've started yoga, I've touch wood, I've not had any niggles, and they're not coming up. They're not facing me anymore. Whereas I'd done like a tough route on Saturday morning. Like I was saying, I've been up Helvellyn in a pretty quick time. And due to yoga, I didn't feel a single sort of niggle, and I was so happy with the way that my body was reacting. And I was talking about this on my run. I created a bit of a vlog, and the way that meditation and yoga, them two things, have helped me sort of when it comes to something like running, really just get into the moment and not think about the end goal, not think about getting to the top of the mountain, not thinking about getting back to the tent. All I was thinking about was what I was doing there and then, and it was pissing down, and I was just pushing hard, and it felt really good just to be in nature and not having any distractions come towards me. And I was just fully present in the moment, just going through. And I think
I'm just impressed you ran up Helvellyn like that. That's class.
It was tough. It was steep.
Just going for a quick run.
Yeah, it was tough. Don't get me wrong. And I'll bring out that vlog probably over the next week of when I was going up, and I hope it's good footage. I hope you can hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'd love to see it.
It was.
I'll make sure it looks good.
Yeah, you can edit it well, Shakk. So yeah, I think putting a morning routine into my life has helped me in these situations. So that morning routine then pushes me through the rest of the day. But I've definitely talked about it in the past anyway. But then I do like a set of pull-ups and press-ups, and I tend to watch some sort of educational video on YouTube, whether it's about space or whether it's something to do with psychology or whether it's something to do with beliefs, values, and I try and learn something first thing in the morning, or read back on what I was writing down the night before. So I'm constantly gaining information, but I'm also pushing myself to learn something.
So you're actively on the morning. You're actively looking for things to stimulate your mind in the right way.
Yeah.
And you said you meditate as well.
Yeah.
And so what do you do when you're meditating every morning? Do you have like a routine in your meditation?
Yeah, well? Again, I'd like to do longer. I'd like to do 20, 30. I mean, the longest I've meditated in my life, I think it was an hour and 20 minutes, and that was like a real intense experience for that full time. And I listened to this sort of vibration frequency coming through YouTube, and it's basically sending pulses because everything's sort of on a frequency. Everything's got a vibration. Everything everything within our body, everything around us is going through this flow, this frequency. It's all waves. So you feel really connected. And I don't mean that to like sound all spiritual and everything, but I just mean you do genuinely feel connected to your surroundings and everything that is around you at that moment in time. But on the morning, what I tend to do is roughly about a 10-minute guided meditation. I used to do it a lot just on the timer to my breath, and then I realised that there's more things that you can meditate on. You can meditate on having a good day. You can meditate on a visualisation. You can meditate on sort of fixing a relationship that you're not so sure about or you're not so happy with. You can meditate on anything you really want. Meditating for me, it's all about focusing, and it's not about zoning out, it's about zoning in. And you've really got to pick something within your mind, and you've got to focus on that. And if you really start to visualise things, then meditation can have a massively positive impact in your life if you really fine-tune it and channel it.
Helps you stay calm as well.
Oh, yeah, big time.
So I understand why these things work well for you, because I remember you telling us before that you proactively wanted to calm yourself down more often.
Yeah.
You wanted to be more relaxed in situations. and these type of things are, I suppose that is your anchor, isn't it?
It is.
Either meditating, doing yoga, doing both. It gives you the anchor to do well for the rest of your day.
To be calm, be calm through. Another thing actually that I do and make sure I do in the morning. I don't know if you two do this. I'd assume Shakka doesn't. Make your bed.
I make my bed every single morning. So you've got a misconception in you there.
I'm just joking.
Okay. I don't eat well.
I'll give you that. I never make my bed in the morning.
No,
oh, Chris doesn't.
No, I thought you would have made your bed, Chris.
I'm really bad in mornings, to be fair. I just kind of, if I do get up, if I feel a motive, say if I go, I love a swim in the morning if I can be bothered.
Really?
Yeah, swimming in the morning is just.
Nice.
I know how good it feels when you do something like some exercise first thing, but I just find it so hard to get going. Yeah. In the morning, because I think I work a lot of late nights.
How late are you talking? Like
not that late, but like 12.
Oh, really?
Yeah. By the time I finish here at 11, sometimes at 11, you got to pack up, and it's like, and your brain's wired. I've been in the studio all day. I've got tunes going on in my head. I find it quite hard to sort of, switch off.
Yeah.
It takes a while to switch off if you're not finishing work till that late.
Yeah,
but
that's not every night, and it's like, it all depends. But generally, I do all my exercise stuff in the afternoon or late. I feel more on it if I can get it. Like probably it's like about 4 o'clock. That's my ideal time.
Well, I think that's everyone has. You have to slot it in somewhere, I guess. And there is like if you look at very like people, successful businessmen, businesswomen, they'll be training at 2-3 in the morning just after they finish work.
Yeah, they will. They
train 2-3 in the morning.
It's what they've got to do.
They just have to get it in.
And we know like the benefits of training and what it can do for you. So they know, like these successful people, we know that they're going to fit it into their day at some point along the line. And it might have to be that's the case. It's 2 or 3 in the morning. It goes back to being creatures of habit, and you create this pattern and you create this routine that might work for you. And I think the morning routine for me is the one that really matters. I do think that you should mix things up and keep things fresh as much as you can, and you should invite change into your life in every possible situation. I was listening to something before that even said, change the seat that you sit in at work in the morning, because that can just give you a little bit of it's like a bit of a refresher to just swap that seat in the morning. It just incorporates a bit of change in the life, which then promotes change in other certain
areas. It's easy to get stagnant with the same environment. It's good to change your living room, your bedroom. It's good to change that up every now and again as well.
Change it around, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. If you feel uncomfortable in there's a reason, and that's why they link like messiness to a messy mind.
Really?
Yeah, because if in your mind, if it's messy, you're gonna live in a
So you think
messy environment
that the cleaner your flat is or the cleaner your apartment is? Do you reckon?
No, I don't think it's going to be like a strong link to it, but I think there is evidence of it. So like if you go somewhere and I mean like not just a bit of mess, I mean like a complete shithole. Normally the person living in that complete shithole is going to be someone that's not really happy within themselves.
Maybe a bit of
a
bit of lack of self-respect.
Yeah. I'm not on about a little bit of mess and fucking not making your bed. I'm on about like them extreme circumstances. But you see people that are like living completely clean houses, but they could be absolutely psychotic.
Yeah. You never know. You never know what's going on beneath the surface. And we were talking about this on the way here. It's either the iceberg theory or the iceberg principle. And if you look at an iceberg floating in the sea or the water, you'll realise that it's only the top 10% of the iceberg that's actually sticking out. The other 90% is under the surface. You can't see it.
It's good imagery.
It's very good imagery for the way that our subconscious and our conscience actually works. What you show on the surface and what you see of me is probably only 10% of what's actually going on. There's 90% else beneath the surface. But I actually think it's more. I think your subconscious creates 95% of your decisions.
Yeah.
So if your subconscious creates 95% of your decisions, you don't even realise it. Like, what's that really say? Like, you can't really see what's going on in somebody else's mind.
Decisions it's a funny thing because sometimes, a lot of the time, we just let the decisions come. We don't really give that much thought. We trust whatever comes first in our brain. We trust that too much sometimes. Instead of giving it some real thought, look behind some logic instead of going on emotion.
Give yourself a minute.
That.
Give yourself a minute.
But like my morning routine is actually dreadful. Like it's genuinely is dreadful, and it's
hit us.
And it's not, and it's like I just don't really have much of a morning routine because I barely see them. I barely see that unless it's like your 1, 2, 3 a.m.s. I barely see the morning, man. I barely see 7, 8, 9. Well, unless I'm working, you know what I mean? I wake up, give myself enough time just to get showered.
You give yourself that time to just get out the door.
Showered, get ready and go and get to work on the dot. But I'm at work on the dot.
Even that is routine. I'm the same, Shaq. I get to work on the dot. I live 5 minutes away from there and I get there on the dot. I'm not aiming to get there early because at the end of the day, I believe that is my time.
Well, I might be a couple of minutes late. And to be honest, I don't always make my bed.
Chris, Chris, you should make your bed every morning.
I know.
And
I was just thinking about.
You should make your bed every morning, right? You know what? The main reason why I try and make my bed every morning is no matter how shit your day is, no matter what you feel that during that day, it might be a really sad and simplistic way of looking at it, but at least if you made your bed, you've succeeded at something.
Yeah, it's like that Jordan Peterson meme on Joe Rogan where he says, if you can't even clean up your own room, who the hell are you to give advice to the world?
There you go.
Excellent. Yeah, it's bang on.
You know what? It's just it's part of that discipline thing, and if you can't control these things, these small things that are so close to you, then how do you expect to go out there and conquer these massive things? How can you clean up all these other things if you can't clean up your room?
Exactly, it is a good point.
But I mean, do you know what? It's more of a mind frame. If you're waking up on a morning and then you fix your bed, you're on a roll. You've done one thing. Like you need to get into some sort. It's back to routine. You need to get that momentum. You need to go. I heard someone say that on a morning they fix the bed. Of course, they'll go brush their teeth with the left hand.
Yeah, mate, I was telling you this before. I was doing it for a long time. I was always brushing my teeth with my left hand. I haven't done it for a long time.
And it's just to get the left side of your brain working.
Yeah.
And then you drink your glass of water because obviously people don't realise that when you wake up, you're dehydrated from the sleep, so you need to drink some water straight away. And trust me, if you don't do that...
Yes, I'm one for fluids in the morning, definitely.
Yeah. You feel the difference.
You do,
Instantly, after you've had that glass of water or a drink of water... You feel the difference. You're like, wow. It's like you needed that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do it. And I'm shit for breakfast. I don't eat breakfast.
I don't believe that you should eat breakfast.
You don't have to.
Me personally.
There's different ways to do it. And to be honest, I think that really you should be eating certain types of fruit for breakfast more than any other type of food. And fruit is mainly something you eat on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
That's how it should actually be eaten. I don't eat it much.
Yeah.
I do love fruit, but my diet's terrible.
What is it? I thought it was pretty good, Shaq.
And I'm a creature of comfort.
What?
When it comes to food, I'm just so I like pushing myself in these different ways that like I need to give myself a pass on certain things because my brain only has so much energy. Like I can only concentrate on so many things as hard as I can.
You are doing a lot though when
procrastinating.
When it comes to writing, but procrastinating could just be.
I think I am. As I'm saying that, I think
procrastinating can be dangerous.
I always want to push myself.
But it's like what Tom Evans says. He says you can use it as like an impossible sort of reach of creativity, and if you procrastinate and you actually believe that you're being creative, then it's okay because you're working something out in your mind at that time. So I think procrastination is good within reason, but you got to also make sure that you get shit done.
It's if you realise it, like if you know these things. Like if you biggest thing is realising what your habits are. Some people accept what the habits are, your flaws, but you need to the first thing is to realise it.
Yeah.
And then you can act on it.
Yeah.
Or you can make it your goal.
Become very self-aware of yourself. That's another thing I was actually going to ask. What makes a morning person and what makes somebody not a morning person? Because I know I'm a morning person, but I can never understand it from somebody else's point of view when they say they're not a morning person, because I know what I'm like when I'm laid in bed in the morning. I feel like I'm wasting my day, especially if I've got a day off. If I'm in bed at like 8 o'clock, I'm like, oh my God. 8 o'clock, like I feel like half the day's gone.
Yeah.
I've got to admit, on my days off, I actually get up earlier.
Yeah.
It's weird. Because I'll spend obviously working out at night, so that means I'll get like some of the daytime off until about 3 or whatever. So on those days I'm working, I'll tend to just lounge. Yeah. And just kind of I'm going into work, so I'll do I'll probably strum a guitar, but not do too much. I might go out for a little run or something. But when I'm on days off, I'll go right. I'm going to do something today. I want to go out for a 20-mile hike or something, and just get up early and just sort of, I guess. That is kind of... when I've got something in my head that I want to do it, and I'll get up early to do it. It's not like I can't...
do you know what?
You've got that drive when there's something of the drive for.
Yeah.
It's a proper important thing because, when we work a lot, and then you only have a day or two to do what you really desire.
Mm-hmm.
Like you sat there and you think, maybe I will play guitar for a bit, maybe I'll go for a walk. Imagine having all your life to do what you really desire. The work, or maybe, I say work, but doing stuff that you don't really want to do, really gets in the way of finding out what you really desire. Imagine who we would be if we were free from these type of restrictions.
Free from the restrictions of your job, free from the restrictions of your bills.
It's just terrible jobs out there. There's like some proper soul destroying jobs out there, and I feel for anyone that's in a job that they hate and they're doing it because they have to pay the bills. It's a horrible system set up.
It is a horrible system set up, and it's
where it's having a routine. I guess at the end of the day, if you can nail down some of these, find a routine that fits you, you can build up some more time to do what you really desire.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, and that.
But then again, if you had so much time to do exactly what you wanted, you could flip the other way, that you wouldn't maybe be that productive. It could be, I'm just gonna, I could do this and do that.
Great point.
So if, in a way, say if you know you only have that limited time to do what you got to do, it might be that time management. Right, I've got these 2 hours. I want to come up with a verse. I want to write a journal or do something.
Yeah.
I don't know, write a song.
Yeah.
And you've only got that time.
I guess you'll see like who actually has drive when you've got all that time.
Yeah. Be proactive with your time. You're a lot more proactive with your time when you have less
this must be a problem for some people who get really rich really fast. So you get rich. Where does your drive go after you get? So if someone's thinking just money, you get all the. We talk about how rich people are. They're just as depressed as poor people, even more.
I reckon more so.
And so imagine you get. What about these people born into wealth? These kids, billionaires, son of these sheikhs in Saudi Arabia, and that
probably never experience real struggle.
Their perspective on life is completely different.
They wouldn't understand that it might be hard to pay for certain things. I mean, is it Bill Gates? And they asked him how much does he think a
box of cereal was.
I think it was a pint of milk, and he just didn't have a clue.
How much. $25.
Yeah, he didn't have a clue.
I've seen that clip. It was like they had a list of everyday items, stuff that you'd buy in the supermarket. It was like cereal, washing up powder, and he did not have a clue. There was like a box of eggs, and he thought it was like $15 or something. So I don't know where he shops.
Jesus Christ!
But to him, that was cheap. $15 is something that is something.
It's like if he drops 50 grand on the floor, it's not worth his while to pick it up.
No,
I think it's something like that.
It is.
Is it? I can't remember.
That's absolute.
By the time that he's picked all that money up, he'll have made it back anyway.
He's not the richest man in the world. Well, we say richest man, we mean like celebrity rich. Because the real rich people aren't in your top 50 lists.
No, you don't know who they are.
But let's say like your celebrity rich people, like your Bill Gates. Is it Jeff Bezos from? Is it
Jeff
Bezos?
Bezos from Amazon.
Amazon. He's now the richest man in the world, and I don't want to know what his like 20-year plans are, because they just create. You know what? So much information they're collecting from us about our habits and our needs and what we want. It's scary how much they collect data from us, and in 20 years' time, things are going to be so automated because they'll know what we want as consumers. He's really figuring out that market, and forget all that anyway. That guy's super rich. What's driving him now?
What is driving him? What's driving him to keep doing more, to keep on pushing the boundaries of what's possible?
I don't think Bill Gates has been very innovating in the last so many.
I don't think he has.
Bill Gates.
If you compare him to someone like Steve Jobs.
Apple pretty much destroyed.
Microsoft, I'm gonna throw it out there here. It's terrible. Like I've only ever Microsoft laptops, and within 2 weeks they're running slow. Within 2 weeks they're shit.
I think they're good for their Xbox.
Well,
isn't that the big? Must be one of their biggest sellers.
Probably.
I'm sure that they are ahead with some designs in terms of like maybe like computer parts and stuff like that. I'm not sure exactly what they do. There might be more than just the computers we use. It probably is.
It probably is. It's got to be, hasn't it?
But
they got phones and stuff out. But I just think it's very it's very fixed. There's a pattern for you that seems very fixed by Microsoft compared to Apple. I know they're both fixed. They probably both got their own sort of weird routines going on. But
those guys done some crazy shit to get where they were. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, those guys probably fucked over. Well, they did fuck over so many people. That Silicon Valley is honestly, it might look nice from the outside. That's a dog-eat-dog environment there.
All about business.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and progressing and looking after your own back.
Yeah, but at the same time,
I think there's a lesson to be learned, right? I think you can always like look out for other people. You can always look out for your peers. You don't have to be selfish. You don't have to be self-centered.
no. Did Elon Musk start at Silicon Valley?
I don't know.
Do you know much about Elon Musk?
Not a whole deal.
I'm sure he must have started in those areas with PayPal and all that shit.
All I know is
Well, I surely knows he's probably there now.
he thinks we're in a simulation.
Imagine how many billionaires did Silicon Valley create?
Let's. I don't know. Do you want to say?
Or million? I know probably definitely way more millionaires. Can we
Wait.
search that? Can we
You
search how many millionaires came from Silicon Valley?
You can search how many.
Or how many millionaires lived that?
If
You know, it's so like they're so different there. Like where you'll see, like, you know, they'll be like really eco-friendly and stuff, and they'll be doing meetings wearing like socks and train. Like the businessmen will be wearing suit with like some unreal Air Maxes and like it's just that type of environment. You know, where
Really?
they're all about comfort and the.
Wow.
Have you seen Google? The Google like
The centre
head
where
office.
they work.
like crazy environments, man. They've got like all sorts of rooms for different things, for like sensory
So
things.
bring
and
that
all sorts.
back
It
to
says
what-
here Silicon Valley. There are 143 tech billionaires around the world, and half of them live in Silicon Valley.
Wow.
Silicon Valley is home to 74 billionaires, a report finds.
74.
Yeah, 74.
That shit's crazy.
Billionaires.
If they were to spread their money around the world, come on. They can change everything. They can change the face of this planet
They probably are changing the face of the planet.
Yeah, to
well,
their-
they are changing the face of the
to
planet.
their own greed and to their own.
Look
sort
at
of-
Mark Zuckerberg. Who do you know what? When you reach that level of power, like I say power, but they've got so much. Facebook had so much influence,
Looks like
and
a friggin' robot. What's he done to his face?
he's a fucking lizard.
He did look very reptilian in that court
I mean,
case, though, didn't he?
He doesn't
He
look right.
does, and it's also orchestrated as well as responses. Have you seen that where he's
Looked ill.
introducing Facebook Live and he's on about his smoked pork or something in the barbecue? Have you seen that video
No,
before?
I didn't see
No.
that.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious. It's just like, and someone's short and the clip's down, and he repeats constantly how he loves smoking like his barbecue food and stuff. And he honestly, you need to pull that clip up if you get a chance.
Yeah, I'll give that a watch.
It's
if I
just
get-
he looks, he's a proper fucking lizard.
What is
That guy is weird. But imagine starting this Facebook off in your room, and then it just keeps increasing in size, and it's just crazy to think that's one man would have all that responsibility, and it must have a serious impact on your health.
Yeah, it's going to have a huge impact on your health. I was actually thinking about when you talk about him being in this room.
Yeah.
And sort of starting it up from there. If you talk about people like Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and where they started from,
Yeah.
they've all found their own little niche, and then they've had that drive to really carry it through. So
Yeah.
I think everybody can learn from them in a way, though, and be like, well, you know what? They found their passion. They found their drive.
Yeah.
Why don't we find what our passion is? Why don't we find what our drive is? And why don't we pursue our goals?
Yeah.
Instead of just sticking to this dead-end job where, in reality, you're just going to work for a fucking pension and for when
Absolutely.
you retire. There's much more to life than that.
There is.
And I think because in the next podcast that we're going to do, we're going to talk a lot about drive within certain individuals.
Absolutely.
I think it's a very sort of prominent place to end this
Very relevant.
podcast. As the next one, we are going to talk about drive and what
Yeah.
gives you drive and what are your passions in your life, and we'll
Absolutely.
talk about building people's future.
Yeah.
I guess.
Absolutely.
So on that, Chris, thank you for being on board.
Thanks again.
Always a pleasure.
Cheers,
No
Chris.
problem.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Bye.